Good morning. Appreciate you tuning in again this morning. And as we look into the life of Jesus, we get ready to go into another event in Jesus' life here. We finished up, excuse me, we finished up Jesus sending his disciples out. We're talking about the events between the calming of the sea and the feeding of the 5,000. He just finished up sending out the 12, told them not to take of anything, that he would provide for them, that he would give them strength, he would give them what they stood in need of. And he is always faithful for these things. We're going to look at another event here in just a minute, but first, before we begin, I need to ask a favor, that you would pray for our community. Pray for my son's classmates and his soccer team. They lost a young man this week in a tragic accident, and we had a vigil last night, a candlelight vigil for him and his family. And that's one thing that you hope you never have to experience, is the loss of a child. And I was hoping I wouldn't have to go to something like that, but I'm thankful that the Lord allowed me to be there. And out of everything that was said, the one thing that made my heart give my heart a little bit of a comfort is the fact that his dad said that he was ready to meet God. And it wasn't just a statement. You could hear it in his voice that he had already had this conversation with his son, and he knew that his son was ready to meet God. That's probably the only comfort that they'll be able to find. Seeing all the people there last night and seeing the video and the pictures of this young man, and I'm sure, and hearing the compliments of his son, I'm sure that helped. But there's nothing like knowing that your child is right with God, and that just gives me a little bit of comfort and ease in this whole situation. I just pray for them and the soccer team and all his friends in our community, if you would, please. And as we go into this lesson today, as I'm reminded as I was listening to that memorial last night of how fragile life is. Life is it's so precious and fragile. We only get one of them. As I was thinking about all the things that this young man, if he could come back today, what he would do, what he would say, to tell those that he loves them, to be nice to the one he may have had a bad attitude towards, or to help one that he didn't help, or, to live and to love and to hurt and to win and to lose. All these experiences that we take for granted, the emotions that we feel in certain times, we shouldn't take them for granted. As we look at the life of Jesus, every opportunity that he had, every moment that he took was purposeful. It was meaningful. It was right. He didn't waste time on worldly things that didn't amount to anything. He was here to do the Father's business, and he was here to, as we go into some more of this after that he sent his disciples out before the feeding of the 5,000. That's one of the things that he tells Herod is, and tells the here in the scriptures, that he's here to do the Father's business. He's here to do God's will. And we see after this in Matthew chapter 11 that this is where in Matthew 10 Jesus sent his disciples out. In Matthew 11 is where Jesus reassures John. But if you go over into the account that Mark has recorded, after that Jesus sent out the 12, it's recorded that this is the death of John the Baptist. Now, what I find here is, this isn't what I really was wanting to focus on today, but I just wanted to point this out, that this is in this time period that Jesus reassures John. John is in the prison. I can only imagine what he must be feeling like. He came to present the gospel. He came to present Jesus, and he's been arrested. He's been thrown into prison. And he sent two of his disciples to go see Jesus. He said, and his disciples asked Jesus, "Art thou he that should come, or do we look for another?" He wanted reassurance. He wanted to know that his imprisonment and his coming death wasn't in vain, and he had done his job. And Jesus answered and said unto them, "Go and show John again those things which ye do hear and see. The blind receive their sight, the lame walk, the lepers are cleansed, the deaf hear, the dead are raised, and the poor have the gospel preached unto them. And blessed is he whosoever shall not be offended in me." Now he's telling John's disciples, he says, "Go back and you tell them, tell John what you've seen. Tell John that his work is complete, that his work is preparing the way for me, and I am he. Don't be ashamed of that. Find comfort." That word blessed here is the same blessed that we find in the Sermon on the Mount when Jesus, in happy, a godly happiness, a godly peace, a godly completeness. And he's just given John reassurance to not be offended and to find comfort and strength in that. And we see in Mark that is whenever, right before Jesus, or right before John the Baptist gets his head cut off for preaching the truth. And I'm sure when that happened, there was a peace that this world, as I've said many times, doesn't understand, a peace that only God can give. And he reassured him. So I want you to know that today, that I want to reassure you that Jesus is real. And the light that we let the world see, the light that we take and present to the world, and the manner in which we do it, it's not wasted. It's not in vain. We'll see lives changed. We'll see people healed. We'll see families brought back together. In some cases, that we'll see, as Jesus said, that the family could be torn apart. But if you're following Jesus and you're in a place where you're not supposed to be, then sometimes we have to leave. Sometimes we have to get out. Sometimes we need to get out of that situation. And where I want to go today is one of my it was an event that happened here. They call it the man that was healed at the pool of Bethesda in John chapter 5. Another one of these miracles that John may have heard about and drawn strength from. But the reason this is another one of my top 10 here. This is one of my top 10 events in Jesus' life, miracles that he did, was because Jesus doesn't overlook. Jesus doesn't overlook the ones that the world doesn't have time for. We're going to start our reading in Matthew chapter 5 here. John chapter 5. And this is one of the events in Jesus' life between the calming of the sea and the feeding of the 5,000. Another miracle that he did that changed a life. And after this, there was a feast of the Jews, and Jesus went up to Jerusalem. Now there is at Jerusalem by the sheep market a pool, which is called in the Hebrew tongue Bethesda, having 5 porches. In those days, a great multitude of impotent folk, of blind and halt and withered, waiting for the moving of the water. For an angel went down at certain seasons into the pool and troubled the waters. And whosoever then first after the troubling of the water stepped in was made whole of whatsoever disease he had. And a certain man was there, and he had infirmity. I want you to listen to this. This is amazing to me. Which had an infirmity for 38 years. And when Jesus saw him lie, and knew that he had been there a long time in that case, he saith unto him, Wilt thou be made whole? And the impotent man answered, Sir, I have no man when the water is troubled to put me into the pool. But while I am coming, another steppeth down before me. And Jesus saith unto him, Rise and take up thy bed and walk. And immediately the man was made whole and took up his bed and walked. And on the same day was the Sabbath. And the Jews therefore said unto him, Thou wast cured. It is the Sabbath day. It is not lawful for thou to carry thy bed. And he answered them, He that made me whole said unto me, Take up thy bed and walk. And then asked they him, What man is that which said unto thee, Take up thy bed and walk? And he that was healed wist not who it was, for Jesus had conveyed himself away, a multitude being in that place. And afterward Jesus findeth him in a temple, and saith unto him, Behold, thou art made whole. Sin no more, lest a worse thing come unto thee. And the man departed, and told the Jews that it was Jesus which had made him whole. And therefore did the Jews persecute Jesus, and sought to slay him, because he had done these things on the Sabbath. But Jesus answered and said unto them, My Father worketh hitherto, and I work. I'm going to stop reading there. That's reading John chapter 5, verses 1 through 17. As we see here, this man laying at the pool of Bethesda, with the issue that he had for 38 years. Now, according to this story here, that they had this pool, this well, if you will, they would come down and the angels would trouble the water, and they would, every time that the waters would be troubled, the first person into the water, that person would be healed. So we see here that this man had been here for a long time, and every time that the waters was troubled, every time that the angel came and troubled the waters, somebody would step over him. Somebody would see this man laying here and worry more about themselves, because they had issues too. And they would step over the water, or step over the man and get into the water and be healed. Every time this man was stepped over, overlooked. You might feel the same way. You might feel like the world has overlooked you. You might feel like, well, you've gotten this close to finding the answer. You've gotten this close to getting the life that you wanted, and somebody would step over you and take it from you, or something would happen and you would lose it. Well, let me tell you something. If you're hoping that if you're looking for things in this world to give you a complete life, you're looking in the wrong place. It's not the things of this world that are going to give you completeness. It's not the things of this world that can help you achieve what you're truly looking for, what you're truly longing for. To get rid of that emptiness, to get rid of that undescribable drawing to something else. That something else that you're looking for is Jesus, and being right with God, being made whole with Jesus. Jesus found time here. He saw this man laying here. He didn't ignore him. He didn't just walk by. He had time for this man. He recognized him there, laying there. And he asked, What wilt thou be made whole? Do you want to be made whole today? Do you want to be healed? The impotent man was looking at the pool, and he said, Sir, I have no man when the water is troubled to put me in the pool. But while I am coming, another step over me. And Jesus said, Arise and take up thy bed and walk. You know, today I want you to see that we don't need to focus on our troubles. We don't need to focus on the limitations. Again, here it is, another limitation of man's mind. I want to be made whole, but I can't do it. And here he is, just like the woman at the well. Didn't even recognize who was standing in front of her. Just like these other men and the disciples didn't realize who was asleep in the boat when it started to fill up with water in the storm. The world doesn't recognize Jesus. All they see is limitations of the inabilities of man. All they see is woe is me and trouble that I have. When Jesus is right here in front of us all. Jesus is here in front of us all. He's ready to take care of. He's ready to heal. He's ready to set you free from your troubles and your sorrows and your sin if you'll just ask. We see here that Jesus told the man to take up the bed and walk. And he took up his bed and he walked. Right there immediately. You know, almost every instance that we see Jesus changing somebody's life, it's immediately As we go on and we see more events of Jesus healing people and Jesus rescuing Peter out of the water, it says immediately. Immediately the man was made whole. What are you waiting for? Why do you keep putting limitations on your salvation? You keep putting limitations on God and your ability. Well, here's the fact of the matter. It's not your ability that's going to matter. It's God's ability. What you got to do is get your limitations of mind out of the way and let God change the heart. Let God make you right. Let God take care of all those things that you can't do. Trust in Him. Believe in Him. Believe that He can. And He will. If you'll just trust in Him. And it's hard to do. I know it is. We've put man's ability, we've put our own control of our life in our own hands. We teach our children to go out and to accomplish something on their own. We tell them that they need to go to this school or that school. But when it comes to this part, when it comes to Jesus, you've got to have enough faith and trust in Him to know, to believe in Him. That He is the one that can make you whole. And quit looking at the wells. Quit looking at the pools of Bethesda. Quit looking at all the physicians, just as the woman with the issue of blood did. Quit looking at all these worldly things and look to Jesus. With belief, with true belief, trusting with all your heart, trusting that He can. Yeah, it's hard the first time. But once you get to that point where you just let it go and just quit fighting, it's be the easiest thing you ever did. By just trusting in Him, letting Him have it, and knowing that He will. We've got examples here, and examples after example after example. That's what, we're going through this life of Jesus, just to show you all these examples of Jesus changing people's lives. You think about all these people that Jesus went to talk to. They were considered unclean. They were considered outcasts. They were considered a burden on society and their families. This lame man had to be fed. This lame man had to be taken care of. His family had to take care of him, to provide for him. He was a burden. He couldn't do nothing for them. He was, laying there at the pool trying to get into this water. I wonder how many of his family said, just leave him there. He keeps waiting for this silly water to take care of him. We'll just leave him there and let that water take care of him. There's a lot of people that might feel the same way, that they've been a burden on their family, and it seems like their family has rejected them. Well, Jesus won't reject you. Jesus will not reject you. He will not leave you. He will not be too busy to recognize you there, laying on the ground or laying in the situation that you're at in life, with people stepping around you and ignoring you, knowing the brokenness that's in your heart. All you got to do is trust in Him. Call out to Him with a true heart. Call out to Him with a heart that believes. And He will make you whole. Now we see that this man got up. He took his a bed and walked. And what I find comforting here is He didn't find this man back out into the world. We didn't find this man getting up and running and going out and getting a job and doing everything the world says he should do. Jesus went and found this man in the temple. He went and found this man in the temple. And that's what you're going to have to do. Not the temple of the church, but the temple of your heart. You're going to have to find that quiet place to start praying. You're going to have to find that a place to get away from everybody, to get away from the things that's going on. A place that you can have that conversation with Jesus. Now, if God wants you to go to church, then that's where you need to be. But you can be anywhere and talk to God. That is just a sincere desire of the heart. When Jesus found this man in the temple, He said, "Behold, thou art made whole. Sin no more. Lest the worst thing come upon thee." And the man departed. And here it is again. Here it is again. The woman at the well went and told everybody what happened to her. The man that had been healed from being possessed of demons went and told everybody about Jesus. He sent out His disciples to go and tell people about Jesus. Now here it is again, that this man that had been laying by that pool, this man had been stepped over and stepped over and stepped over. People had seen him laying there, so they recognized who he was. They recognized the woman at the well for having 5 husbands and being unsatisfied in her life. We know that the men and the women and the people in the city saw the man possessed with demons. We know that the the people in this place that saw this man laying by this pool for many, many years, and now he's up walking around. Can you imagine the impact that he would have? Can you imagine the impact that you could have if you would just let the world know about Jesus? That's the most important thing that you can do. And he went and he told them who had made him whole. He told the Jews that it was Jesus that had made him whole. Yes, it made the Jews persecute Jesus that much more, but as I said yesterday, get ready because it's coming. Get ready because we're fixing to be persecuted. We might as well get ready for it because it's going to happen. We can't get out of it. It's going to happen. We're going to be persecuted as God's children. So let's go out and proclaim Jesus with a loving heart and scream that much louder, not by Bible thumping, but by loving. Remember what I said about the loving our enemies like pouring heaps of coal upon them. That's if we want to do what we can to protect ourselves. We want to do what we can to in my twisted, sick way, I know it's wrong, but get satisfaction of people that persecute us. Love them. Love them to death. Love them so much that it makes them so miserable to be around you that they quit persecuting you, or they listen to what you got to say, and they might come to Jesus, find that there's something, they see that there's something different in you and in me that's different than it's in the world, because Jesus lives here. Jesus is our strength. Jesus is the one that we rely upon. And again, Jesus is not too busy. He sees you. Whoever's watching this video today, and he sees you. He knows what's going on. He knows what's in your heart, and he's not too busy to take care of it, to change your life, to change the things that you're dealing with. But you've got to trust in him. You've got to quit looking at the things of this world. Quit looking at the things of this world. You hear what I said? Quit looking at the things of this world and look to Jesus. Look to Jesus. And all these examples, there was something in front of them that they were focused on, and they didn't even see Jesus. Today, we need to see Jesus. People need to see Jesus in our life, and not the worry and stress and things of this world. I appreciate you listening and watching, and pray. Again, I ask that you would pray for my son in this community and the soccer team that lost their teammate and their friend today. You know, that's something that they'll never forget. But I'm thankful today that his father knew that his son was ready to meet God, and his father told all those kids that were there last night that his son was ready to meet God. I was so thankful to hear that. But you know, it broke my heart to hear the things that they were saying and the hurt that was in their voices. We need to pray for that family today. Again, I appreciate you, love you, and I hope you have a great day. God bless.